welcome to another Hatch Live. I hope you're having a great day. I literally just looked out the window a second ago and went, it's raining again, which seems to be par for the course here in Sydney at the moment. So let me know where you're coming from and what your weather's like today. I know it's one of those times of the year where it's all kind of like, you know, if you're in Japan, you've got the beautiful cherry blossoms and all of these other kind of beautiful things, but then other people are like, we had lots of snow and everything looks like it's dead. So let us know where you're coming in from. I'm just going to check in with my team and make sure that everything is actually going live to all of the channels.
Facebook is good.
Yep, looks like everyone's saying great. So thanks so much. The chat is working, so just throw your comments into the chat so I can see what you are talking about and we can go from there. So I know yesterday, if anyone caught my little tiny live test, I said I was going to bring you a brand new project to talk about. I'm going to save that for next week because that's going to be something new and exciting. So I'm going to talk to you about that one next week. And this week I thought I would talk to you about some other things. And we're going to show you some little things that I personally use Hatch for. So we're going to launch into that for a moment. But yeah, if you can let me know where you are coming from, that would be great. So I can see that the chat is working as well. So today is May the 1st, which is also the start of Me Made May. So for anyone who is a garment sewer, what you'll actually be finding is, particularly if you're on something like say Instagram or maybe Facebook or one of the other socials, lots of garment sewers will be sharing all of the garments that they made throughout May. So the goal is to make a pledge in some way and say, this is what I've made and this is what I am wearing. So today, being the 1st of May, I am wearing a dress that I made. To be fair, I wear a dress that I make every day. But today is extra special because today is all embroidered. So I've been referring to this as my vegetable emoji dress because it's actually fully embroidered. So I'm going to share a little photo for you of what my full dress actually looks like. Oh, and we've got people coming in from Canada and New York and Illinois. Hi everyone, I hope you're having a great day. So like I said, here's my dress, which I took last week in the sunshine, and it was beautiful, also when I had longer hair. So my whole dress is embroidered, and some of these pieces I digitized myself, and some were a bought design. So I'm going to talk you through some of that, and I'm also just going to point out, I have a really tiny embroidery machine. So I'll come back to that photo later. My home embroidery machine is only got a 10 by 10, so 10 centimetre by 10 centimetre or a 4 by 4 inch hoop. So I'm only working with something small. Real estate's really expensive in Sydney and I couldn't afford a bigger machine because it wouldn't fit where I live. So I have a smaller machine, which means I just make it work harder for me, which is lots of rehooping and lots of getting things done. Now, I bought my machine well before I started working for Wilcom and for Hatch, and I love it. It was such a beautiful upgrade to get myself an embroidery machine. So mine's a combo machine, so sewing and embroidery. But the designs that I'm wearing are actually the reason I bought Hatch. So, like so many people, you know, you're living on a budget, you're like, oh, do I do the extra expense, what do I do? And I kept saying to myself, no, it'll be fine, I can use designs that are out there. And then would spend hours upon hours trying to find something that felt like me, which never really worked because I didn't actually find what I was looking for. So I ended up buying some vegetable designs from I will not name the place, it's not a big name place or anything, but they offered it in a whole bunch of different sizes, and so I thought, well, it's fine, I'll buy it, I can use the small designs, they'll work with my embroidery machine. But they didn't, because clearly the digitizer hadn't thought about how, when you resize designs, how they then stitch out on smaller hoops. I have not yet checked to see whether they thought about when they go out to big sizes as well, but in small sizes my machine was getting stuck, the needles were breaking, I had so many bird's nests happening with my bobbin, and all things that I knew weren't the machine fault, and I knew I had the right stabilizers and everything else. So I knew all that was working, I knew it was actually a digitizing problem. I tried really hard to do all of the things to try and fix it, and in the end I was like, you know what, I just need to buy Hatch and fix this. And so literally things going wrong is what motivated me to get Hatch, which is a really weird motivation. I've previously worked with companies where I've worked with Hatch, where I've worked with Embroidery Studio, so I had that digitizing knowledge and I thought I could get by, but I couldn't. And now that I have it, suddenly I don't spend hours trying to search for designs anymore. I'm just straight in there and I'm designing and I'm digitizing and I'm going straight to my machine and it's stitching out, and it's a joy. So if you're thinking about getting Hatch and you're on the fence because you're like, no, I can get by, well, maybe today is going to help you out and make you decide that no, Hatch is really worth it. So I'm going to show some things what we're going to do. So for everyone who's been joining in late, and hi to everyone who has jumped in on all the chats, that's great to see you. So this is the dress that I'm talking about. Right, so it looks like there's some sound issues, so we'll figure this out in a moment. Okay, so here we are looking inside Hatch, and I'm opening up a design, and it is one of the designs that appears on my dress. So hopefully we've still got some sound. A bit louder. It's all picking up. It's a little bit quiet, so apologies. I'm going to be a little bit louder in my speaking, and hopefully that works. So what I've done here is I am opening up a design and I am bringing it in. So this is one of the designs that kept getting stuck. So I'm going to have a quick look around. Object properties wasn't really helping me here. So I'm going to go down onto the dockers on the side and have a look and see, dig into the design a little bit more. So in my design information, first things I'm going to check is I'm going to check my size, make sure that it fits inside my hoop, and I'm going to look at the number of stitches. And for this type of design, on a lightweight fabric like my dress, this is a lot of stitches. So what can I get rid of? What can I loosen out and have a look and see at how things are going to go through? So there's a couple of different ways you can analyze your design from this and figure out which way you're going to do different things inside your design. So one of the ways I like to do it is I like to use the player, particularly if I have already stitched out one on my machine, because by using the player I can actually determine where my needle is getting stuck on my machine, or look at the underside of my stitch out and figure out where those bird's nests of my actual bobbin is occurring. So I sometimes go back and forth, I change up the speed on my player, and here you can see I found a spot where my needle's getting stuck on my machine. And it's a great way to actually start to analyze your designs and see how they're going to work for you and how they're actually going to stitch out on your machine. So here I can even see, admittedly you're seeing it nice and big on your screens, but even in the player I can see how tiny some of these stitches are. So tiny stitches get a bit stuck sometimes in my smaller machine. It doesn't have a huge amount of oomph to it. So, I'm starting to critically think about this design, and because I do have that knowledge, I am thinking about how I would digitize it too. So that's one of the ones we're going to look at. And so when we're looking at the designs, we're going to see about how we can fix it up. And this is really helpful if you need to lighten up a design to go on a different fabric. If there's elements which are getting stuck on your machine, before you get too stuck in the elements of things that might be breaking in your machine or things like that, be sure to check your bobbins, check your threading, check your stabilizer. Like, make sure it's not a machine issue. If you know it's a digitizing issue, this is how you can fix it. And then we're going to start fixing it in Hatch. So I'm going to open up another Hatch window. Here I have my design. I'm going to zoom it in a little bit so you can just use little tools up the top. And I'm going to start selecting some things. So straight away on this quite small design, I'm just going to ditch out that light coloured pink because I don't need that, and I don't need those extra stitches on top of the already very dense stitches underneath. It's going on a lightweight dress fabric. I don't need that. So I'm just going to delete out those colours. And now I'm critically looking at the design, taking out elements that no longer work. So all I'm doing is actually just selecting and deleting the pieces, and I'm going to refix up those like curved sections of the radishes, which has been cut out now. I can reshape those later on, and those stitches are going to regenerate around there. And then obviously I've taken out a radish, and now I've got some leaves I don't need. So I'm just going through, and yeah, you can go through element by element and try and take each one out, but sometimes you lose a whole leaf. So I'm trying to see how the things are connected and how they are traveling on the machine. So and this is like, I'm just like looking at it, figuring out which pieces go to which. Also on my hatch here, I've enabled the pop-up menus to come. So if you're still learning, you can actually get these little pop-ups by hovering over tools, and they pop up for you. So if you're still a new beginner, that's a great way to keep that in your hatch as well, because it will actually help you learn. Now I've selected all of the individual little nodes within this, which I can start pulling out. So as you can see me deleting them on screen, I'm going to have a quick drink so I can keep talking. So all I'm doing here is going one by one, which is slow, but it also works. And now I can actually draw a box around the ones and delete out the pieces that I no longer need. This is a little trickier to do, because sometimes you grab one that you didn't mean to delete. So if you are going to be drawing a box around your individual points, be sure to blow it up nice and big on your screen so you can actually see it a little bit easier. It's much better on your eyes, but it actually gets you to have a look. If you are working in extreme detail, always remember to come back out and look at it at actual size, because that's what your machine's going to be stitching. So be nice to your machine and don't put too many details in super tiny, because your machine's going to hate you and then you're going to not like it. So do think about your end point is stitches. That's something to always keep in mind there. So you can see already this design is starting to clear itself up and look a little smoother and cleaner to the actual designs. I'm going to get rid of some extra pieces which are hanging about, which don't look. And so for all the designs that I wanted to clean up, as it were, this is how I'm doing it. I'm actually going through and critically looking at each one. So some of these I had the benefit of, I did actually stitch out, a test stitch out. And some, once I realised how this particular digitizer was digitizing, and the fact that I think they hadn't actually done it for smaller hoop sizes, I was like, okay, now I can start deleting out colours, I can start changing stitch sizes, I can do lots of things without having to be so like micro control. Do those as set standards, and then we're going to go in from there. All right, so as I'm going through all of this, does anyone have any questions about how any of this is happening? I know for many people who have been digitizing a while, this is quite old hat kind of thing. You're used to doing this, but if you're new to Hatch or you're trying to figure out whether it works for what you need to do, this kind of manipulation of designs is a really great way to learn how other people are digitizing and how stitches run, because unlike when you send something to go to the printer and it all just comes out, with stitching, it's all about layering. It's all about how it's going to actually come out on that machine, because your digitizing isn't finished until your stitch sample is perfect.
Dropped off once, came back and dropped off.
Okay. Some people might be seeing me with a very confused face. Other people might be seeing me, or not be seeing me, but be seeing Hatch. We've just had to reload the stream in there. I'm so sorry it has dropped out. It looks like we're back up and running on Facebook. I think we're back up on YouTube. All right, hopefully, sorry for the slightly confused face there. So that was lots of the things inside Hatch that when I got Hatch, I was really excited to do, because like anyone who tries to sew a lot, I like to reuse things. I like to not waste the money I have spent on my patterns, whether it's a sewing pattern or a digitized piece. So knowing that I could go back in there and edit those elements and make those pieces useful meant I ended up with a vegetable dress. So I did digitize some extra pieces for myself as well to add in because I wasn't happy with some of the ways that they had some of their design choices. And that's one of the great things I love about Hatch that I have it now, because now I don't have to think about fixing someone's thing. I can just be like, I want this, and now I do it. So I'm working on some other pieces at home, which I have been stitching out, and it's great because I can just literally do a drawing and go across. So if you don't come from a background of digitizing, and this is your first foray into learning about Hatch and how to digitize, there's some great ways you can actually give a try to this. So one thing you can do is from the Hatch website. So one thing I'm going to mention here is a little sneak peek. If you are thinking about maybe buying Hatch, maybe scroll down to the bottom of the front page and make sure to add your email to the newsletter if you haven't already, because there's going to be a very exciting newsletter going out tonight, Australian time, that you are going to want to be in on. So if you're thinking about buying, be sure to be adding your name to that newsletter today, because you're going to want to be in on it. If you're already in the newsletter, be sure to read it or check back, and I will have some exciting other things to show you. So here we have gone to the Hatch Academy. So it's in the top bar, and from here you can actually visit the Academy and go through. So if you're already a Hatch user, you can just say visit Academy, put in your login details, and in you go. If you're thinking about buying Hatch, here are some of the things that you can see within the Academy. So the Hatch Academy teaches you how to digitize. There's a great little free ebook there that you can sign up for that gets you started with all of the different workshops within inside that Academy as well. So the Academy is not just built for beginners. There's things for beginners. There's things for people who've been digitizing for ages. There's for people who want very specific individual type things. So there's lots of different things inside the Academy. So going to the Hatch website and following those links down, that's one way to get to it. If you already own Hatch and you're like, how do I do this? You can actually go from inside Hatch. So from inside Hatch, you're going to go up to your home button in the side there, top bar, sorry. You're going to go back out. You're going to go down the side. You can see all the designs I've been working on and doing different things too. And on my sidebar here, I'm going to go straight through to the Hatch Academy. This one looks a little different only because you're entering from inside Hatch. So it means you already have bought Hatch. So it looks a little different to the website page, which is for people who haven't yet bought Hatch. So you're going to see a little bit more here on this one because you've made the purchase. So you can actually see it. Then you can also get the Hatch app. The app is fantastic. I mentioned it briefly in my little tester live yesterday, but apparently my sound dropped out, so you missed out on it. I love the app because I commute by bus, and buses are boring and noisy. So I put on my big headphones and I'm there like, all right, so what do I want to do this weekend when I've got my embroidery happening? What am I going to digitize? What am I going to learn about? So I spend all of my week learning about the extra things I want to do or brushing up on my skills, and then I spend my free time all doing my digitizing and then straight into stitching out. So rather than sort of, get up on my day off and think, oh, I want to do applique and I don't know how to applique, and then having to spend my time doing it, I spend all of my weekdays learning about what I want to do on my weekend. It makes commutes so much better. So if you're someone who is commuting, spending a lot of time waiting maybe for kids to do sport or, just in general, it's one of those great things to actually jump on your app and get there anytime. So it's available on the Google Play Store and on the App Store as well. Now, if you're someone who likes to write things down, a lot of people highly recommend a user guide for that. So someone actually put a photo up in our Facebook page, and their user guide is like 90% post-it notes. And their post-it notes are all different notes to themselves on different things, because they said they love to learn by reading. So they will actually read out, make post-it notes, do all of their little things, and it becomes their really good guide on how things work. So if you're more of a written learner, that's a great way for you to do it. These ones are available via Amazon. Do get the Amazon that is in your country, otherwise it will either tell you can't, you can't buy it, or the shipping's really expensive. So make sure you go to like Amazon.com if you're in the States, or .com.au if you're here in Australia, or whatever is the one for you, because otherwise you might get a weird error and you'll be like, what? So do check that one out. Now, it looks like the chat might have broken for some people. I can see some messages, but some not. So my apologies if you have been trying to ask a question and we have not been able to actually answer that. I do apologize for the stream breaking. It is one of those things we have no control over that. So at least it came back this time, which is great. I'm so sorry. I was like, yay, I'm going to get through a whole stream without having to drink. But, you know, no, that's not going to happen. So it's been great to see you all here. Hopefully we will see you all again next week, where I will be introducing a new project for you, which will be very exciting. Now, don't forget, if you haven't signed up for our newsletter, there's some big stuff happening that you're going to want to do that. And I'm just going to check in and see, ready to go for you. Hatch is going on sale. It's going to be on sale, and it's going to be $300 US cheaper than normal. And it's definitely worth having a look at. So do go check out the website, sign up for the newsletter.